We'll be starting in a minute or so. So there you are up there. Do you want to see people or just yourself?
No, I can see.
You're unmuted.
Well, it's 10 o'clock. Can everybody hear me? Thumbs up, thumbs up. Well, welcome everyone to this month's Resident Association meeting. Both those that are here and those who are in pajama land. Thank you for getting up early to attend our meeting. Well, the first order of business is to acknowledge one of our esteemed residents who has passed the century mark yesterday. And of course, now is a full-fledged centenarian. We want to congratulate and wish a very happy birthday to Nancy Epley on reaching 100 years of a good life yesterday. Unfortunately, we're not able to celebrate this momentous occasion due to the COVID restrictions, but Nancy is watching us in Zoom land, and I want all of us to raise and make a champagne toast. You can raise your coffee mug, your juice glass, your Bloody Marys, or whatever else you drink in the morning, and wish happy birthday to Nancy Epley. And we wish her many happy years of good health, peace, and contentment. Now, if you want to know anything about the Roaring 20s or 30s from somebody who was there, just call on Nancy and she'll fill you in.
Yes.
Now, in any organization, both large and small, one can always find at least one or two individuals who are ready to step forward, answer the call to service. One who is always willing to volunteer their time and talents, time and time again, for the common good of the organization. For somebody who's reliable, always there in a crisis, leading, listening, and taking action. But enough of me. Really, the one I want to talk about is our former president, Diane Herrick. You know, Diane took over leadership of the Resident Association back in January of 2020, a period of calm routine here at Kendall, and the full expectation that Nielsen would leave Kendall by 2020. Of course, that didn't happen because in March of 2020, COVID arrived, and that changed everything. Well, Diane went to look, she raced and got a hold of the red book. She looked through the red book, the blue book, the green book, yellow book, any book she could find with any rules or regulations to figure out how she was going to handle this new situation. And of course, she came up empty-handed. So she had to decide herself how she was going to lead this organization of residents, how she was going to pursue the next year while dealing with this COVID. And Nancy did it quite well. And we thank her for her strong leadership, her consistent guidance, and firm commitment in getting us through the pandemic. Unfortunately, she was not able to solve the problems of the pandemic here at Kendall, and she left them to me. And I want to thank Nancy. I want to thank Diane. I thank Nancy too, but I thank Diane, for leaving me this big problem that I have to work through. Anyway, I would ask Diane to step forward. I have a small memento sent to her. Here's a leadership award given to Diane Herrick as president of the Residents Council, Kendall at Lexington, 2020-2021. Normally she would take this back to her apartment and we would never see it again. So I'm going to ask her to put it outside on the table, just outside Kendall Hall for about a week, so the residents can look at it and admire this wonderful presentation.
Thank you, Paul.
You're
And
welcome.
thank all of you. I'm glad he's doing it now.
We're taking photos now. No, it's a reminder of what you left me. That's a map. And so now we're going to proceed with our normal agenda. And so I will ask Jan to step forward and make her presentation.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Speaking of Nielsen, I'll start with that. We are in final negotiations with Nielsen, and I have a feeling I'm going to say that in February and March as well. Our December meeting with Nielsen was actually a bit stalled because they did not want to share their figure as a negotiable figure to start. And when we talked to our attorney, we figured out that that was probably a smart thing on their behalf, who wants to negotiate against themselves, basically. So they instead asked us to come up with the starting point, and we did that. So we have left the ball in their court at this point. We went through the contract, used the contract language, came up with that figure. They now have it, and they're doing their due diligence to come back to us and let us know where we start. 3 North, just an update. We do have the 2 bound paper copies of the presentation now in the library. So I invite you, I have seen folks reviewing that, and I invite you to do so if you have not seen it, to actually review the final product. Our next steps will be to actually create a working committee of probably no more than 8 to 10 at our absolute max, to actually move through that process and decide where we're going with the 3 North presentation. So COVID update. As you know, step 11 guidelines came out and they will be effective January 7th through February 11th. Stepping out committee will meet hopefully next week. We're going to try to get a meeting on the schedule. And I have heard directly from some of you and rumblings from others about the precautions stated in step 11. And I have to say the wording for this particular step was quite difficult to come up with because, as you can imagine, we have no intentions of going back to the way it was or losing any kind of momentum that we have gained over the past few months. But at the same time, we do know that Omicron was and still is spreading. And you know, it's getting better, and I can feel like it's getting better, but at the same time, it's still out there and spreading. So yes, there are milder symptoms this time around, but that's not the case for everyone. We have had boosted staff that have had significant symptoms and were off work for quite a few days. We also are seeing it spread through families very quickly, which also delays return to work for our employees. And I think one of the most important things is we have employees who are very concerned and some very worried about children in their household who are under 5 years of age and cannot be vaccinated. So the risk of us not doing what we possibly can to slow down the spread on our campus and beyond is just not fair to these individuals. So wearing masks, using appropriate social distancing, good infection control, and common sense are all great prevention tactics. I realize that limiting exposure during dining is difficult in that it makes some feel a bit excluded. And that certainly was not our intention as a stepping out committee when we created step 11. I just ask, or we ask, that you simply do your absolute best to be consistent with your dining partners. We have seen that that is a good opportunity for spread. And although we don't want folks to be alienated in any way in the dining room, because the dining room can be quite intimidating to those single folks as it is, but we ask that folks use to try to be as consistent as they can. We're not going to police. We're not going to be yelling at people, although Judy does enjoy that, as you well know. But we are just asking you to be cautious, that's all. And that concludes my report.
All right, good morning, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well. I'd like to start off with, first off, thank everyone for their patience over the last couple of days. It's been a little fun, a little tiresome, but I think we've got through it. Hopefully we've got everybody out where they're able to get out and about safely. We're still monitoring some of these ice patches over there. But like I said, most of all, I would like to thank everybody for their patience over these last couple of days to get everybody dug back out. Next off, I would like to let everyone know, obviously we had a position that we had posted for a project coordinator. We have filled that position. And I would like for everybody to get a chance to congratulate Jennifer Patterson on the position. She will be taking that role of project coordinator on. Now, I do know that's going to kind of raise the eyebrows of, okay, what are we doing about the director of operations assistants? Well, obviously the good thing is we've got Jennifer still here with myself. Over the last year, she has really done a nice job of helping design and really make that job to be what it is. So bringing someone new in will definitely help getting that person up to speed as we move forward. So there again, if you get a chance, congratulate Jennifer on the new role. I know she's excited. I know we're excited. We're ready to take that renovation process to a next level. So next, I'd like to report a little bit on the HVAC project. We are coming up on the last floor of installation on the south building. They're installing those units this week to hope that up and running by the end of the week. And then all we have left is the fine tuning, repairs, patchwork, and stuff like that. That will be coming over the next couple of weeks. We want the units to run for a little bit before we actually close everything up. There is still the commissioning piece, so we want to make sure everything's balanced out. So still looks like we're on track to wrap everything up by the end of January. We are a few weeks behind the original date, but with the weather, the COVID, a few weeks over is not as bad as we experienced with the phase 3 construction. So I'll take it as a win. Next, obviously 2022, I know from facilities, we are definitely looking forward to this year. There's quite a few changes we are looking at making. Project coordinator was one of them. We started off on a good foot with that one. The next was kind of doing a rezoning for the maintenance department. And basically what we've done is decided to try to break the community down into different zone fashions and assigning a maintenance guide to a particular zone. So a little quick, we got the couple zones that we have is we have Borden, We have North Building Webster. We have South Building Dining. We have Cluster Cottages Anderson. We have Sycamore Lane and Sunnyside. And we have Sunrise Ridge and Fitness Center. So now we're going to take those and we're going to assign a maintenance guy to each of those locations. And that's going to be their primary locations. Not that they won't venture off to other places, but that's their primary focus, to focus on those work orders as they come in. It makes the process a little easier when a work order comes in. Now you know who to assign it to. The other thing that this gives us is a great opportunity for the guys to take a little bit of leadership roles on themselves, a little bit of responsibility. And it will also give us an opportunity to identify some training exercises that may need to be needed in the future. Because every one of these guys have some skills they're strong in, and then we have some that we're weak in. So we'll be able to take those weaknesses and turn those into strengths. Doing a little bit of cross training. The other thing that we will have along with that is each of these guys will be partnered up with one another. So if somebody needs assistance, instead of everybody just being called on the radio, and next thing you know, I got 4 maintenance guys showing up, they'll call their partner to come over when they need help. So it keeps the other guys on track and hope minimizes that downtime, or just seems like everybody's running in different directions. So the commitment to the resident work orders, to the inspections, preventive maintenance, all those things, I hope to see this have a better handle on it. That's our first task of first quarter for 2022, is to get that implemented and get it in place. And hopefully we'll see some improvements. So looking forward to all those things. And that's all I've got for today. All right, thanks everybody.
Good morning. So this last few weeks and for the next couple of weeks, marketing has been prioritizing tours for folks that are interested now, to make sure that we're keeping you all and my staff safe. We didn't schedule any try-it visits for January or many tours. We tried to push out to February. So we haven't had any tours or meetings in the last couple of weeks, other than with our folks that have already reserved. But we do have some scheduled toward the end of January and going into February. So we hope we can resume back how we were. We were had a really busy, active fall. So we hope our springtime will be that way again. We currently have 9 apartments and cottages reserved, and 5 open apartments and cottages that have not been reserved. So we're working through those right now. Of those 9 reservations, they're moving in anywhere from mid-February all the way through mid-June. So Herbie and the contracting crews are very busy getting these apartments and cottages ready. And even the ones that are open and we haven't reserved yet, we're bringing them up to renovated standard. So hopefully folks will be interested in them. So again, encourage your friends to send them our way if you think this would be a good opportunity for them. While we're not touring as much, we're working on a few things. We're going to have another Zoom panel next month, and we're very excited to launch something we're calling the Priority Waitlist Portal. It's going to be a special place on our website for waitlist members only, where they can access some content just for them, and it will be easier to for us to communicate with them and have forms and things of interest for them on there. And then John South has been helping us create a special look at Katie Webb for them. So they'll be able to see a few things on Katie Webb before they're even residents, to help them stay acquainted with the community. Because really, you all know they're moving here because a lot because of all of you, and what a great, how many great residents and all the activity that's here on campus. So we're going to skip Katie and Kevin this time, since I just gave that report. So I guess we're to Judy. Here she comes.
Good morning. Can you guys hear me? Is this thing working?
Yes.
Okay, I was worried about the microphone in Kendall Hall. So as you've noticed, we have these awesome black to-go containers. I'm gonna need some visual aids, so as I scoot away to grab them, just give me a minute. Very helpful. These cups, they need to go away. So we got to start working to start to utilize our new soup cups or the ones you were given upon arrival, which looks something like this. These are the new ones. So if you guys can drag them out and dust them off, that would be great. That'll start with the soup. Then we go to salad, which are these black containers. And yes, they come with a lid, so you can take it to go, see through. So that would be your salad container. And then we have our to-go meal container. This is this awesome three compartment black container, which comes with a lid. Now, if you choose not to wash these, that's fine. Just bring them into what we're calling the scrape room. We have to come up with a better name than that. And put them underneath the table. My staff will be more than happy to wash them. Going forward, any new staff members that come on board will be receiving at least one of these per each, minus the cup. We haven't figured out the soup cup yet. But since you were all given those, if you have them, great. If you need another one, these will be available. They cost us 10 bucks. So these will be available for 10 bucks on your end of the month fee. That's not points, that's actual cash. Okay, so these are available. We just purchased 144 and we do have some of the old translucent ones from that marketing has. So the idea here is to be consistent. I don't need the big crudité containers that you might use for a party of 50 coming downstairs. If we can utilize what we're giving you, that's awesome. Staffing, slow at best. I do have another part-time chef that will be coming in, hopefully once that's approved, for a couple more days. Mark has been awesome. He's typically working 10, 11 days in a 2-week period. So he's taken the bull by the horns. He's never let us down. So kudos to him. Jen, the same thing. Sharon should be back end of the month for our morning cook, 32 hours gained. Gordon is doing fine. We have enough staff to run that. Stephen has jumped in on the occasional snow days to cover any staff that might not be here. And overall, the staff in dining itself, you've seen them, they've been here, they're very committed to you all. So I'd like to give a shout out to them. I'd also like to give a shout out to Herbie and his crew. Did an awesome job with snow removal. It made our lives easier. We still have to get to the dumpster. We still have to recycle our cardboard. So he was huge in that. So thank you, Herbie. Great shout out. Thank you to you and your staff. I don't have any other updates for right now. Does anybody have any questions at this particular moment? Oh, we're going to do that at the end. Sorry. Paul, I look forward to working with you. Bless you, my child. You have to deal with me.
One of the hardships I have to endure. Greg, next.
This is not me. That one's you.
Sorry.
Sorry. Hello, everyone. Hello. Hey, everyone. So does the sound better in here for you guys? Is it better, easier to hear? No, you still can't hear. It's not going in and out, but it is fading. Okay, we'll have them look at that. We did a little training yesterday on it's almost identical on the panel. So it's good there. So far, we've are not going to cancel the movie night. Right. Well, yeah. Let's finish the meeting and we'll look at it. We'll see what we can do to make it better. But this is actually, I think, the first time we've used the system since they've walked away from it. So, the panel is almost identical. We're off the illegal 600 megahertz wireless microphones, which that makes us good and compliant. So the only thing they really added was it's now a push button on the panel to open the curtains for the movies, as you don't have to go back to the stage and do the little switch, which that's his bonus for people that set everything up. They used a lot of our old system and we're able to do the new and integrate that, which is where they ran into a little bit of problem, but they got that all squared away. All right. They added 3 microphones to the stage. You can't see, but because the curtain's closed. That'll help for any kind of performances that we do for the Follies or anything like that. Okay, thank you, everyone.
Hi. Yeah, sounds a little different here than I'm used to with the mic. Are you hearing okay? A little light, okay. Well, anyway, hello out there. I'm here representing the newsletter committee Connections. I'm not as tall as Judy. 2 things I want to mention. One is there's a perennial concern on the part of the newsletter committee about our circulation. You remember the old World War II poster, I think, about Uncle Sam wants you. Well, Connections Committee really wants all of the residents and staff to be reading Connections. We try to be environmentally responsible by focusing on the PDF emailed version, but for those for whom that's not a satisfying experience, please let us give you a print copy. We have a list of people who need or desire a print copy and put them in cubbies. There is ordinarily, there are some copies near Karen Miller's desk that you could pick up, but don't let our parsimonious environmental stance on PDFs stop you from reading Connections, please. You can talk to me or anybody else on the newsletter committee if you don't now get a cubby copy and you want one. And then that's the sort of output from the Connections group. For input, let me urge all of the conveners, all of the interest group leaders, all of the people on committees, anybody who's a resident or a staff member here. We need input. If your committee, your interest group is doing something, there's something going on of campus-wide interest, and it would be worthwhile to get it out on Connections, please let us know. We don't have a whole team of reporters going out scouring the bushes. We need you to volunteer. So please get them to Margaret Scovira or me. We look forward to hearing from you.
Okay, next up is Diane. I've asked her to talk about this secret stepping up committee that's making all these decisions that making your life difficult. But anyway, she's going to expand on that so we're all on the same plane.
This new microphone is great, but I find that it's taking each one of the speakers a little bit of time to figure out just which is the best way to hold it, and how far to have it to the mouth or not, and so on. So we'll keep working on that, right, Greg? Thanks. In thinking about the stepping out committee, or remembering so that I could talk a little bit about it this meeting, I need to go back almost 2 years now to when all of the world began to realize that COVID was a very serious thing. And here at Kendall, steps needed to be taken so that we would all stay safe during that time. So our core leadership team, the CLT, gathered together and took the steps that we needed to do to have in order to be safe. Such things as our meals would be delivered to us in our residences. The fitness center was locked. No programs in Kendall Hall, mask safety precautions, no visitations, and isolation. And it was pretty much felt like a slamming for all of us as we adjusted to that. In May, we transitioned from Mina Tepper to Jan Bigelow. And a couple months later, Jan said to me, then I was president of the Residents Association, I'd like to get a joint committee together of residents and some members of the CLT to help figure out how we can keep on taking steps or moving forward during this time of when we had COVID. At that point, you may remember way long ago, we hoped it would only be a few months, not. So we got together. Jan asked me to select some residents to be on this committee. And I thought carefully about that distribution, interest, and so on. And I thought, well, the two things that I know that we're really missing, beside eating in the dining room, is to have programs. And so Paul was head of the C&E committee, and to go in the fitness center. And Ed Baum was head of the wellness committee. So I felt that they were two good people to be on the committee. And I asked Doreen Colson Logan, who was on the Residents Council that year, to also join the committee. It was a good selection. We started gathering with about 6 members, but it varied from time to time of the CLT. There was always Jan and either Becky and Stephanie. Herbie would always be there because we needed to look at our facilities. Karen Jackson, who was the health administrator and at that time was the liaison for the residents. We had the clinic nurse. At first it was Kathy Lewis and now it's Danielle. Judy, always from dining, and Jessica were always there. And occasionally there'd be someone else, or maybe not, that they would be available for that meeting. We met every few weeks, gathered here. It took us a little bit of time to kind of get in our stride, but I think we really got there. There was a balance of what the administration felt that they wanted and what we knew we desired as residents. We were hearing very much that people wanted to be able to get back into the fitness center. That was really important. But we also operate under a lot of different regulatory departments, the CDC, the Department of Health, the CMS, all of these, probably some more, had to be considered as we went forward in trying to get a balance. Took a lot of conversations. As you recall, we had the check-in point house up at the top of our drive for quite some time. That led to some really interesting discussions, didn't it, Paul? And, but I think that this has been a wonderful committee. I truly commend Jan for wanting the openness, the participation from the residents. None of the making of decisions has been easy. It's been very thoughtful. It doesn't suit everybody because we would all like to be having the life that we used to be having. But I think that it is a wonderful way that we work together to try to help us get through this. None of us like what's going on right now, but it is what it is. So please do talk to any of us residents. And of course, you do let Jan know, or some of the CLT people know. But there's a lot of considerations in a retirement community. I see Jessica here and how she markets with all of the restrictions. Some of what she would request of when we had our meetings was, could they have some more people come on the campus so that they could do some marketing? Herbie, considering what were some of the things that the physical plant needed to do in order to accommodate this? How could we increase the ventilation? A lot of considerations go into that. So we're working together on it. And I thank all of you for being understanding and sharing what you think about this too, as we keep on trying to get through all of this. So thanks.
Thank you very much, Diane. We have some time left. We don't necessarily have to go a full hour, but I think we've covered most of the issues that are current today. But I've asked Jessica if she would, anybody has questions out in Zoom land, if you would raise your hand and she will monitor that. Unfortunately, you can't ask a question of Herbie because he skipped out, but Jan is going to handle any questions dealing with Herbie or the administration. And of course, Judy is here and Greg is here. So if any of you have any questions for any of our staff, please let Jessica know.
Okay. Katie and Kevin, you can help me. I can look for some hands, or you can unmute and ask your question. I do not see any hands up.
Bruce.
Oh, Katie sees Bruce Summers, and then we'll go to Ted here in the audience. Okay, Bruce.
Yeah, thanks, Jessica. I was wondering if you could clarify what Herbie told us about filling the new project coordinator position. I think he was saying that Jennifer, who is the current
Yes.
assistant, is filling that position. Does that mean
Yes.
that Herbie will backfill Jennifer's administrative position too?
Yes, and they have posted for that position. So so the question was, Herbie mentioned that Jennifer Barnes Peterson has been promoted to a new position called project coordinator. And that project coordinator, primarily in the beginning responsibilities, is working with marketing on the renovation of apartments and cottages, and some other projects that will come across her desk. She is currently Herbie's operations assistant. So that position will stay. At the end of the month, Jennifer will transition to project coordinator, but they have posted for that coordinator position. And I think Herbie did a great job of saying how Jennifer has really developed that position and done such a great job organizing it and setting up what the responsibilities will be. So hopefully the new person who is hired can jump in quickly.
Okay, thank you.
Ted. Boy, Herbie, you really should have stayed here. Ted is asking about the deer culling. I'll give that to Jan.
So deer culling, we were to start that again in January, I believe. We wanted to cull about 15 more deer, I believe. I will have to update you in another way with that. I'm not sure. Obviously, the snow hasn't helped us because most of the hunters are out on our property cleaning up the snow. So, but I think that there's still a want to do that. I believe last year there were, yes, but I forget the numbers at this point. COVID, deer calling numbers, sorry.
Too many numbers. Okay, any more questions this side? Anyone from Zoom? Penny, you can unmute yourself.
Mute. Okay.
Okay.
My question is with regard to Jennifer. Is she going to be still handling the work orders through the month of February?
So Herbie and administration know how important it is to keep up with the work orders. She is going to basically be transitioning into that new position from her old position so that we don't lose momentum on that work order. So yes, and Herbie will also be monitoring that. So there'll be a transition and we will keep you posted on what that looks like. But for right now, we're calling it a transition to her new appointment.
I have an outside car in the south parking lot, which I will get cleared off tomorrow. But there's so much snow around my car that I could never get it out. So my plan was to put a work order in after I had done my part and then be able to move the car. And I
Right.
think a lot of people in the south lot certainly must be in the same position.
So the question is work orders for the south lot cars that are still under snow or behind snow. Yeah, I'll work with Herbie on that. It was a lot of snow.
Oh, yeah.
It was a lot of snow. It made me very happy, but it made others very sad. So sorry about that.
That's okay. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions?
Any other questions? I'll look through here one more time. Okay, I think, Paul, you want to close it out?
Of course, I want to thank everyone for attending, either here in person or up in Zoom land. Hopefully next month we'll allow more people to come. I think it's always a better meeting, a better exchange of ideas and information if we all can come together. We all had our scones and our coffee and sit down here and enjoy each other's company. Zoom has its limitations, technical wise, and obviously it's not a good idea to have people scattered throughout campus and not here in person. So let's go venture forth into 2022 with our masks in our hands or up on our faces, with our hand sanitizer nearby and eating with our dining mates. And let's continue, however, with our normal routines and our exercise regimes, maintain a healthy lifestyle, and let's continue pursuing our passions, whatever they are. Let's not give up on that, utilizing our own talents and resources. We obviously can live through COVID. We've been living with it and we'll continue living through COVID until it dies. And hopefully it will die, whether it's, whether we have to live through Delta, Omicron, or whatever Greek letters they come up with. But I know Omega is the last letter and hopefully we won't reach Omega. But if we do, that will be the end. So I want to encourage everyone to listen to each other, to respect each other's views, and continue to form a close-knit community here at Kendall. And I want to thank you all for selecting me as your president to serve you this coming year. And you also provided me with an outstanding council staff. Unfortunately, I was not able to have them present here to introduce you, to remind you who they are. But I do have Ed Baum as my vice president, Suetta Harrison as secretary, Linda Kramer as the treasurer, and then Margaret Fletcher, Meg Stackpole, and Doreen Filosa Gogan serving as your eyes and ears as we continue to move forward at this time. Thank you very much for coming, and I'm going to keep this extra 15 minutes for another time in case we do go over, so you don't complain to me that we went over the 1 hour. Thank you very much and goodbye.